Good evening, everyone. My name's Richard from the Seneca team. I'm looking forward to talking to you about how to use Seneca with Microsoft Teams and Google Classroom today. So there's going to be lots and lots of demos I'm going to show you, and I run through a bit of the background behind Seneca, just in case Seneca's brand new to you and you actually don't know what we do and what that is. But the majority of it will be on how to look at Microsoft Teams and how to make sure that and Google Classroom, and how to make sure it sort of effectively syncs up with what you're doing on Seneca. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. Just a bit of like housekeeping. If you've got questions as we go through, don't feel like you have to wait for a certain part of the session. Just feel free to go ahead and ask questions, and you can do that by, you won't be able to unmute yourself, but if you use the chat feature within Zoom, you'll be able to basically ask questions as and when, and I'll come back towards the end of the session and I'll go through those and answer those questions that you guys have. So that's just the chat within the Zoom window on your screen. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen with you now, so you can see exactly what I see. I'm just going to run through, as I say, a few bits first, which will be on what Seneca actually is and what we do and how we've sort of come to develop what we offer. And then, as I say, I'll move on to show you what the platform is, how it all works, and how it all integrates with Teams and Classroom. So to start off with the very basics of what Seneca actually is. So we are a homework and distance learning platform. As you can probably imagine, more recently, it's become much more of a distance learning proposition for teachers and students, with schools closing, stuff like that. But before that, there were lots and lots of people using us as a homework, revision, or in-class teaching learning platform. And some of the best things that I think are worth highlighting about what Seneca is and what we do is that, first of all, everything we do is based on cognitive science. So what has been shown to be effective in learning, we automatically sort of bake into our offering, and so you can be assured that students are using the most effective learning strategies for that are sort of are known within teaching and learning, so that they sort of happen automatically. There's no concerns around that. Secondly, talking about automatically, is everything is marked automatically. So from you guys' perspective, you will be able to mark your all the marking will be done absolutely automatically, so there'll be no manual work from you in terms of that point of view, which is always, I know, very appealing for teachers. And then from that, students are able to obviously complete work, and you're able to track their progress and see all the data for your students within your teacher account. One of the other things I think is really important to mention is that it's completely adaptive, the Seneca system. And what I mean by that is, so the sort of in-classroom word would be differentiated. It's basically as students go through a learning session on Seneca, it's completely adaptive or differentiated for the individual. So the system will pick up basically what students do and don't know and do and don't understand, and give students more support where necessary, or push students on further onto harder topics where that's also appropriate. So in terms of your differentiation, how that works, it could be completely done automatically, again, save you a lot of time, hopefully, and also will accelerate the learning of your students. And the last important thing to mention is that everything I will show you in this webinar is completely free to use, and everything I'll talk about is completely free to use. So there's no need for you to dip into your, what I imagine are quite tight budgets. If you want to use the platform we offer, it's completely free for teachers, students, and parents to use. So there's no cost needed to pay, which is always a nice bonus. So as I've talked a bit about the cognitive science that we use in our platform. Now we obviously worked with a lot of experts in this area, including some in-house teams, on how to make sure that our platform is as effective as possible for student outcomes. And we wanted to make sure that our approach to this was not just a sort of theoretical ideal. It actually, in reality, it makes a positive impact on students. So we did a randomized controlled trial with just over 1,100 pupils, and what we looked at was comparing independent learning tools that students will use and using those, how students use those tools and what the outcomes are based off that. So what you can see here is from this, if we compare it to a traditional independent learning tool, something like a revision guide, you'll see that there are very similar pre-test results that the students receive, but the post-test results show that actually Seneca, using Seneca is over twice as effective when we tested this out on students. So we see that as sort of a validation of what we do at Seneca, and that what we're doing is effective for students. And that was peer-reviewed and published, that randomized controlled trial. So if you want to read about them, feel free to ask any questions that you might have, or go ahead and read about them in these journals. So where we are now in terms of what we offer, we have courses right from year 3 up to year 13. And what we cover at Key Stage 2 and 3 is national curriculum content. So whatever the national curriculum says we should cover, we cover completely for free. And at Key Stage 4 and 5, we cover the exam board specifications. So whatever exam board you teach in your school, where there are differences, we will make sure that those differences are reflected in the courses that your students are studying. So they are learning exactly what it is that your students need to know. You don't need to worry about whether there's something in there that they don't need to understand for their exam. It's all done for you automatically. And as I say, there's a list of some of the exam boards we cover. And currently those figures are a bit out of date, but we've got over 3.5 million pupils now and about 150,000 teachers. So there's lots of people using it, which is really great. And we're really pleased we've been able to help over the last 6 months or so and before. So that's a bit of background on what Seneca actually is. Let's go and actually take a look at what we offer as our sort of product and what you can use with your students in your classrooms. So when you first log into Seneca, this is the page you'll be greeted with. Just to talk through some of the basics, first of all, stuff like creating a class and setting that up. It's very straightforward. All you need to do is click Create Class here, give it a name, and click Create Class. And then what we'll do basically is we will give you a set of steps to follow to sort of help you get set up and ready to go with your class. So the first stage you can see is add some courses to your class for your students to study. So always we provide support just here. So if you need help, you just click here and it will give you support on that specific step. But we're going to go straight in and add the courses that we are looking for. So let's have a look. So what you can do is you can search for a course up here, or we can use the filters down the side here. And they'll basically tell you the different what the filters are. So you can go down here and you can select any courses you want. So let's say these A-level course, whatever it is, pick as many or as few as you want. This is going to be a bit of a random selection because I'm just clicking wherever. But once you've selected the courses you want, you can then just click Add Course. And then I've added those 8 courses to this class. Now the next stage is to create your first assignment. So again, you can get help if you need it, or you can go straight in and make an assignment. So I will choose from one of those 8 courses that I've just added. Let's go for the Edexcel Foundation chemistry course. And what you can then do is if you're familiar with the Edexcel Foundation chemistry course, this will be taken basically straight from the spec. So it's important to note that whenever we make a course, we always start from the specification or the national curriculum as a sort of first principle for that. And you can go in here and you can select any sections that you want to set for your students. Anything that's appropriate, whatever it is. As many or as few as you want. And as you tick them, what you'll see up here is it gives you an approximation of time. So as I add more sections here, it will go up and down. So again, you know how much time you'd expect your students to take on these sections. So then I can click Assign, and I can give it a name. And I can start a start and end date. Now that's quite useful if you're looking to plan ahead into the future. If you want to do all of your setting of homeworks or classwork or whatever it is for a whole term, you can do that all in one go, and the students will only see it after the start date has passed. So you can set that for whatever you want, but I'll keep it as it is for the moment. So next step is to actually add some students. So I've done sort of the adding the courses and the assignments and stuff, but I actually haven't got any students in this class yet. So again, I'll just click invite students. And this is where the first sort of integration with Google Classroom and Microsoft Teams really comes in. So what I'll do is I'll show you through the process with both Microsoft Teams and Google Classroom, so you can see exactly what it looks like. Start with Google Classroom. So I click on that. What it will allow you to do basically is automatically, it will generate a link that you'll be able to share with your students for them to join the class on Seneca. So first step to do in Google Classroom is to choose a class. So I'm going to choose this year 10 group that I've got here. And then you choose an action. So there's 4 different actions you're allowed to do within Google Classroom. Creating an assignment is pretty self-explanatory what that could be used for, as is asking a question. Same with making an announcement, and then creating materials where you can upload sort of content that you want students to write. So say in history, it might be like a source or something that you want to upload for your students. But what I'm going to do, I would suggest making an announcement for the course that you can, so when students are going to join your class, I think it's best to make an announcement. And I'll show you how that looks for students and teachers in a second. So I click go, and I am ready to start making my announcement. So you can see the links here is automatically generated to help your students join the class. And I'm going to put a message in here, something like this. Whatever it is you want to write. And then there's some quite nice options down here. So you can set for multiple classes if you want. You can also just set for specific students as well, if that's useful. And then you've got a few options here. You can post straight away. You can schedule that post for later, or you can save the post as a draft. But I'm just going to post it for now, so that it goes straight in and we can see what it looks like. So something quite nice about Google Classroom is it always gives you the option to view the post straight away. So if I click view, what you'll see is it will go into what's called the stream of the class. Now, the stream's basically like the message board. So you can see this is the link that I've just posted. The stream's like the message board. So this is where your students and you can interact with messages back and forth to allow your students to see what's going on. Now, if a student was to come in and say, okay, I need to click there to join the class on Seneca, they then click on this link. What it will do is it will take them through to their Seneca account. If they're not logged in already on their device that they've clicked on that link, then it will ask them to log in. But if they're already logged in, it will just take them straight through. And when you give it a moment, so there you go, you've just joined test name, which is the name I gave the class earlier. And it just gives some students the details that they need to know. And when they click continue, it will then take them through to that class. So you can see those 8 courses that I added earlier. And then we've got that assignment that I also set a moment ago, ready to go, and the students can just start learning if they need to. So following on from that, that's the process on Google Classroom. If we look at the process on Microsoft Teams, it's very similar, but I'll just talk you through it. This time, I'm just inviting students using Microsoft Teams. So I click on that. Now, Microsoft Teams arranged slightly differently, so it uses channels rather than classes, but it's the same principle basically. So you can click in here, you can search for a class. So I'm going to go into this year 10 maths group. And again, I can put a message. Whatever it is you want. And then at the bottom here, I can just click share. And it gives you confirmation that link has been shared. Now, if I just show you what that actually looks like, you'll see that at 17:15 just now, I have just posted that link. And again, if a student was to click on that, it would go through the same process as it just went through on Google Classroom. So, and again, students can message here, they can reply to this, they can do whatever you need them to do. So that's the process both on Google Classroom and Microsoft Teams for inviting students. The other thing you will want to be able to do is share an assignment on Microsoft Teams. So we've already created one assignment, but at the moment we don't have, we didn't share it anywhere. But for any future assignment, what you can do is actually then share that on Google Classroom and Microsoft Teams. So again, let's just talk through that process. So say I'm here, I've gone away for a bit, I've come back, I'm now, students have joined my class now, and I now want to add some assignments. So I can click this link here to add assignments. Again, I can click from choose from one of those 8 courses that I added. I can choose again as many or a few of these tick boxes as I want, just like I was earlier. Whatever it is you want to set for your students, you can do so. Again, the timer says there roughly how long it should take, and I can assign, and then I can give whatever you want to call it. Again, a start and end date can be set. And this time when I click create, it will give me, hang on a minute. I know why it hasn't done that, because no students have joined this class yet. Sorry, apologies. So if I'm just going to get, what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer into a class that actually has some students in, because this will make sense. So this class has 30 students, you can see. Let's do that again. Sorry, so I'm going to create a new assignment with whichever groups I want. I'm going to set them for my students, choose which ones I want to do it for, which ones I don't want to do it for. Give it a name. And this time, I can choose then again to set it on Google Classroom or Microsoft Teams. So again, let's go through the process on both. So Google Classroom first. If I click on that link, it comes up with the same options as before. I can choose which classes I want to set it to, and I can choose what I want. This time I'm going to make an assignment, because it makes sense, because this one is an assignment. I click go. Gives you some options to put in some custom messages here. Whatever it is. And then down the right-hand side here, you've got some more options. So again, you can choose to set it for some students if you want. You could, if you're using the mark book within Google Classroom, you can use to set a number of points if that's useful to you. I'll just leave it as unmarked for the moment. You can also set a due date when your students when you want your students to complete it by. And then you can also set a topic, which I'll leave empty for the moment, just so I can show you what the topics functionality looks like a bit later on, once we've set this assignment. And again, you can schedule this, you can assign it straight away, you can save it for later, or just get rid of it, whichever one's useful, but let's just assign for the moment. And just like before, you can then view the post to make sure you know what your students are seeing. Now, a nice little thing about Google Classroom, as I said earlier, whatever you see, your students will also see. So exactly this setup here is what your students will see on their screen. And what you'll see is the assignment I've just posted is popped up here, but it will also pop up into the Classwork tab here. Now the Classwork tab is, again, it sort of does what it says on the tin, but it is exactly the work that you want to set for your students. And this assignment I've just set here, this Seneca assignment, you'll see it's just popped up at the top here. Now what you'll notice is there's different topics below here, and this basically allows you to organize the work to help you keep track of what's going on in your classroom, but also for your students to keep track of what's been going on. So you can create a new topic just by clicking create and then topic, and that will create a new topic if that's useful. Or if you've got an assignment here already, you can just drag and drop. So say I want this Seneca assignment to go on to topic 1, I just drop it in there, and that helps create a bit of organization within your classroom. So again, let's show you the same process of setting assignments, but this time in Microsoft Teams. So again, click here, Microsoft Teams this time. in the same way as you did before, you share it to a channel. Put a message. And then you share that post. And again, it confirms it's been shared. And within, if I go into Teams, what you can then see is you can see this link here that I've just posted at 17:21. And again, in both Google Classroom and Microsoft Teams, if a student is then to click on this link, then they'll just be taken through to that assignment so that they can start their work. So that is in terms of sharing Microsoft Teams. Now your students will then go away and complete all that work, hopefully, fingers crossed. And you will then be able to develop or be able to see some data for your students. So again, let's just have a look at an assignment that actually has some completion on it. If I go on to one of these past assignments. So we have here an old assignment that students have completed. Now what you can see is lots of nice data here, nicely red, amber, green. So it's quite visual and you can see what is going on with your students. The first sort of column you can look at is the status. So across being not complete. So you can see the student hasn't completed this. If I go along, so the student hasn't completed that bit. And the rest, these timers means it was completed, but it was completed late. And if it was completed on time, there'd be a nice tick there for your students to show that they've completed on time. Now, these columns, as I say, show you the data that the students got on this. Now, at the moment, I've got best score selected at the top here, but you can choose other data and you can see it will just change as appropriate. So if I change to most recent attempt, you'll see all the data changes. You can also choose from worst attempt, average score, number of attempts, and total study time. So those will allow you to see exactly what your students have and haven't been up to and how they have done across those different topics. Now, with any of these, this looks a bit red. Let's get rid of some reds, right? With any of these, if you want to sort by any of these columns, you can do that. So you can see who's done particularly well. So if I sort by this column, say, first of all, you see that George or Jorge, whichever it is, has done not particularly well in this exception words. If I click it again, it will sort from, there you go, it will sort from best to worst. So again, you can see who's done particularly well or particularly badly, depending on any of these sections that you want, and you can just see the data accordingly. Now, one really nice feature that is quite new to us actually, but is really worth mentioning at this point, is this smart reassign feature. Now, what that would do is it will allow you to reset work based on how well students have done in these assignments. So if I just demo it, basically, it's probably the easiest way to explain it. So if I click on this smart reassign button, you've got the option of how you want to reassign it. So what I can do is automatically, at the sort of click of a button, reset it for any incomplete sessions. And also if I wanted anything less than 50% or anything less than 80%, whatever it is, you can select as many or as few of these as you want. If I click reassign, the system will automatically, or once I give it a name anyway, automatically, once you set a start and end date as well, reassign the work for those students who either didn't complete that work or got less than 50%. So again, I will be able to see the scores. Sorry, I'll be able to share that on Google Classroom and Microsoft Teams in the same way as I did before. But then you'll see here, you've got a bunch of students who didn't get above 50% in some sections or didn't complete some sections. And you can see it's been reset for them automatically. So they'll be able to go in and recomplete those. So it's a really nice way of encouraging your students to focus on the areas that they are struggling with most. So the other place you can see data on Seneca is in the Insights tab. Now, if you click on Insights, what this will allow you to do is basically see the same data, or see data displayed in the same way, but it will allow you to see it from a perspective of whether students have been doing it independently or within an assignment or whatever. So assignment only shows you data within the assignment, but Insights allow you to see data over a longer period of time. So what you do is select the course you want to see data for, select that metric, that you want to see, like we did before. And you can select a date range, so you can see the last year, for example. If you want to, you can also select a custom date range if that's useful. So you then select sections. Again, a bit like you did when you were setting an assignment, I want to see certain sections that I want to see data for. I just click them, whichever it is. And once I've selected those, I give it a moment to gather all that data for me. And then there you go. This is data, the most recent attempt across the last year on this course. So again, I can see all of that data and I can see how well students haven't done. I can sort by any of these columns just like before. And then you can use that to really drill down into the data and diagnose what's going on with your students' learning. I should have mentioned this earlier, but I forgot, so apologies for that. Anywhere there is data on Seneca, you can export to CSV. So if you click that button, either here or in the assignment section, it will download a spreadsheet that you will be able to then do whatever you want with, but it would be a really easy way to basically export whatever data is on the screen at that moment. Now, the final place to see data is sort of the highest level overview of what your students have been up to, and that is in this Students tab here. So if I go into here and show you what that looks like. So again, you've got all your students listed down the side, and then you can see things like learning time, average score, number of sessions completed, and the number of correct answers. Again, this is for the date period you select at the top, but you'll just be able to see those, more of an overview of what your students have been up to on Seneca during that time period. And again, as I say, if you want to export that to a spreadsheet, you can do. It's up to you how you use that. So that's sort of all the functionality I wanted to show you on Seneca, and also how it links in with Google Classroom and Microsoft Teams. There is one other thing that I think is really important to share about how Microsoft Teams can work. Just to say, if you have any questions, start to get them coming in on the chat so that we can hit the ground running with questions in a second once I've shown you this. So within Microsoft Teams, this unfortunately isn't an option on Google Classroom. They've got a really nice feature where you can add in custom tabs. So if you see this plus here, if I click on that, what I can do, I have that Microsoft give you a whole host of different third-party integrations that you can use once they load. So you can see all different things like Microsoft products like Word and Excel, and then other providers also provide integrations for you as well. But one really nice thing that you can do is use the website feature to add in your own personalized Seneca section at the top of your channel in Microsoft Teams. Now, if I just give it a name, Seneca, whatever it is I want to call it, and then if I copy this, and you can copy this from the beginning of anywhere that you're on your account. This will be the starting of your of the URL on the web page that you're on. You can choose to post about that channel, or post in the channel about that or not. If I just click save, what that will do is it basically will create within Microsoft Teams, it will create a lovely little Seneca page for you to set up. And whoever is logged in at the time, then they will see that account. So you don't need to worry about students accessing your account or anything like that. They'll access their own accounts from their own Microsoft Teams. And you can access your own account from your Microsoft Teams just by clicking on this new Seneca tab at the top here. So it's a really useful feature that you can use to support your students to find Seneca and make sure they get access to it, and all those other things that they could potentially say as the reason why they didn't manage to complete some work. So that's kind of all I wanted to show you basically. I'm now going to stop sharing my screen and see if there are any questions. If you have any questions, do just pop them in, and I will happily go through them. Okay, let's just see if there are any questions. Okay, so it doesn't look like there's any questions. So either I've bored you all to death, or I've explained myself very well, one of the two. But yeah, I'll just hang on a second to see if there are any questions that come through. Otherwise, that's everything from me. Okay. There's one last thing I'll just tell you about before I go, is so you will probably know as a from research, there's a lot of evidence that shows that parental engagement is a really important part of improving student outcomes. So we have spent a lot of time on making sure that we can provide a really good parent platform for students to use, for parents to use with their kids. And obviously that will go alongside how you use it with your students. So we really encourage you to sort of share that with your students. But if I just I can share my screen again, I'll show you what the parent platform actually looks like and how parents can access it. So, it's quite handy. So within this Seneca tab that I've set, this is a parent account that you can see here. So what parents can see is they can see data on what their child has been up to on Seneca. So they can see all the data on that. So that's a really nice way to include your parents of your students within their learning. So that's, again, free to use. Parents can go and sign up for these accounts just by going to our website and creating a new parent account. And they can then connect their parents' accounts to their children, and they can see the data that is going on there. So yeah, I'd actively encourage you guys to use that with your students or with the parents of your students. So if there's no more questions, which it doesn't look like there is, there's just one question about recording. So yes, this has been recorded. It is on our YouTube, Seneca CPD YouTube channel. So it's there and available to use. You just need to go and search YouTube for Seneca CPD, and you'll find this exact recording on there. And feel free to share it with whoever would like to see it. Okay. Thank you very much, and have a great evening.